like to call to order the Village of Marvin Parks, Recreations, and Greenway Board meeting here on June 7th at 9:05 a.m. I do determine that we have a quorum with Jen, myself, and Christina, along with our council liaison, Kimberly. Item 2 on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Any questions or changes requested for the actual agenda? Do I hear a motion on the table to adopt the agenda as it is written?
Sorry.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The next item is the adoption of the previous minutes. They were part of our agenda packet. Any questions or edits requested for the regular meeting minutes of May 3rd, 2022? Do I hear a motion on the table to approve the minutes as they are written? All in favor say aye. Aye. All right, public comment period, and we don't have anyone here physically or anybody online.
No public, no comment.
We'll move on. Next item is unfinished business, item number 1, which is discussion of Eagle Scout plaque and Austin.
Okay, we'll come back to public facility manager's update when Derek gets back in here. Just really briefly, if you look in your packet, you've got a draft layout of the plaque that we previously talked about. I'm still working with Derek on getting the final list of projects. He knew of some older Eagle Scout projects to include on there, but I just kind of wanted to show you what it would look like. It's be a simple perpetual plaque
Where are you going to put it?
in the barn. It should, the material isn't super weather resistant, but since it's in the barn, it'll be fine. And if it ever received any damage, it's cheap enough to the point where we can easily replace it.
Yeah. I found the price was good. How much does it cost to put a new little thing to get it right?
I'm not sure, but it can't be more than like $15 or something like that.
Best case scenario, if we need another one, we buy another one, right? I mean, just keep stacking them up there.
How many completed projects do we have?
We already had 4 on here, but Derek, I said he thought I was thinking of several more. I've just still got to get with him on that, so I'm not sure how many more, but we can increase the size if we need to.
Okay.
Well, you can just make a note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
And I'm gonna, once I have that final list, I'm gonna bring it back to y'all to look at, just in case anyone else thinks of a project that you know about that maybe we left off. So you'll see this again probably in July. Notice in July, if not August.
Okay. Yeah, because I know 3 just thinking about it, so I'm sure there's.
Text me.
There'll probably be.
It's the community garden,
The
sign,
the swing.
Yep, and I think is it, you really can't see it on there. I thought I actually included the layout of the text, but I didn't. I apologize for that. But yeah, we have 4 on there.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, Derek will have a lot to kind of weigh in as he comes back, but is item number 2, Marvin Day debrief discussion. So I'll just start off. Overall, I was just, really happy with the way that things kind of rolled out for today for the first time.
More ponies.
More non-lane ponies.
We worked those ponies hard. That pony hard.
Yes, poor baby.
And but the petting zoo was a part of it because it would have been, and just starting off with that, maybe I'll talk about some of the events that I was kind of involved in, and then we can each kind of go around and do that, and Derek can jump in when he's ready. But starting with the ponies, a couple things. Number one, more ponies. and which we originally had 2 more, but combination of COVID and conflicts, I think we would have been good with 3 ponies. So if we do that for next year, that would be fine. Where we did it, I think was pretty decent, but where we kind of had it stationed right out in the hot sun, there were a couple of...
Too close to the road.
And also the road. So, you know, I was thinking next year if we were to do it in that same area, but the line and kind of where you get your tickets and the petting zoo might be kind of more in the corner where the trail starts that goes down toward the lake on the back side there. Might be a better place to do it, because then if people are standing in line, they could be standing in line kind of on the trail in the shade rather than out in the open, and it'll pull us off that road a little bit.
Could
Because,
also have tents.
what's
Some
that?
tents.
Yeah, and we didn't have a tent. That would have been a good thing as well. So, but overall, 105 pony rides. 105. Yeah. And, you know, for those that weren't there, it was just 1 pony, so we pretty much went about 30 to 40 minutes, and then we kind of scrunched that down before we had to give them like a 10-minute break. At one point, I stopped giving out tickets, but we allowed people to come online and said, maybe you'll make it, maybe you won't. There ended up probably about 15 or 20 people that when we had to kind of shut it down, we did get through everybody that did get the tickets, that were online with tickets though. So, you know, people were at least warned, you might stand online for nothing, you know, coming this late. So those are just my takeaways from the pony ride piece, creating a little bit more shade for the people that are waiting.
And the animals.
And you know, the animals. But overall, the zoo people were great to work with. And like I said, the petting zoo piece of it, it was a great distraction for the kids while the parents were essentially waiting in line and stuff like that. The second part that I was responsible for, which is the equestrian event. Wow, it was a great show and everything that they put together. They just had 4 of kind of the top people, and these horses were world class. They've got a great facility there. The unfortunate thing, we had that downpour that washed everybody out of the car show and everything, literally just before it. So we probably only had about 20, 25 people. We started about a half hour and 45 minutes late just because of the rain. And there were people that were pulling in, still wanting to see it, you know, and we kept kind of giving them updates. Those 20 or 25 just took a parking spot once they knew we were committed to doing it and so forth. I was concerned a little bit that because of the lack of folks, you know, there and everything, that Cedar Hill, you know, might not, but they felt great about it. They felt great about it because it gives their riders and stuff something to look forward in the days coming up. That's kind of a semi-event, you know, for them to run through some of the things. It gives them practice. So they were great to work with while I was there, and they felt very good about it, other than the fact that we got a little bit washed out. So I think, you know, depending on dates and stuff like that and shows that they do, that they would certainly be online to do something like that again. And I think the attendance would have been a lot more, because a lot of the people that we did get were kids that were on the pony rides and stuff that wanted, because we were kind of trying to, you know, tell people while they were online and stuff. But I think that's something that would be worth doing again, and hopefully we could get a little bit better weather for that piece. The other part that I personally participated in then was the concert and the stadium, you know, after that was done. And what, you know, again, the rain probably washed a whole lot of people out that kept people from kind of sticking around after the car show or the equestrian thing right across the street. But what I did notice is that, you know, it seemed when it started, there were a lot less people than when it ended. And I think once people saw that kind of threat of the rain that did go away, the number of people there, you know, did keep building.
It was probably double or more, maybe triple by the end.
Yeah.
More than triple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I kind of looked around when they first started playing, I'm like, oh, guys, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it's fun.
And then I looked, it got dark.
It was the fireworks that drew people back
I
out.
think that's true.
Well, once people knew the fireworks were going on. Now, the other thing, and whether it's Facebook or things like that, people were surprised by the fireworks. Some people expressed concern about the fireworks. I thought it was a great show overall, though. I thought it was advertised very well that we were going to have them.
Actually, the rain was a good thing to have, and then have
Yeah,
fireworks,
very
right?
true. But those are just some of my impressions from the areas that I was heavily involved with. And Christina, I don't know if you want to.
First of all, the fireworks were like the best fireworks ever. Because I stood at my truck and they were right there. It's like it was a fireworks show for me. I don't know about it. I do agree with you that I think people showed up for fireworks. I almost believe that if you could have moved fireworks early, you know, you can't do that. But the world would have shown up for fireworks. I'm sorry about the horses. Because apparently there was some unsafe horses, right, with the fireworks. I had more than my
I
neighbors.
didn't hear that from Cedar Hill, who's right across the street, but, you know, to some degree that's always a concern.
Yeah.
Actually, some of the people in my neighborhood, which is kind of the next neighborhood over. But, yes, you know, that's when you have fireworks anytime of year that you do have fireworks. So, you know, there's always a balance there. I thought maybe we could have done it a little earlier, just based upon how dark it was, you know, and you know, at least earlier in the day, and what I saw at the park, it was a lot of families with younger kids, you know, so maybe some, you know, younger kids that just didn't want to keep up.
But I had sent a message out to my HOA just so they knew about Marvin Day, and we have, I think, 3 families with horses, and so one of them had sent back a message, she was glad to know about fireworks, and that's very she had not heard of it.
Yeah, sometimes they like to word them off.
They do, they put
Some
shingles on.
horses like to try to take them off.
And that's fine. So they all, my neighborhood, so, you know, none of them.
Yeah, my neighbor did me too. There was 3 or 4 of them that seemed surprised by it, but
Yeah,
not
I-
everybody sees it fully.
But exactly. But so, and I was glad to see a lot more people, like you said, at the band situation. As far as the garden goes, and I did talk to Bob about his garden. He said there were tons of people at his house. I forget how many he told me. It was more than he's had in the past. And they were exhausted by the end of the day just because it was hot too. But he said there were lots and lots of people came through. I don't know about other gardens, I don't know about artists and stuff.
I did speak with Tom Rizzer, because
Okay.
we have our neighborhood picnic, we just had our neighborhood picnic there Saturday. He's got 5 acres that are just amazing. I don't know if anybody's ever seen it, but all the sculptures that he does. He's got, you know, an indoor skate arena that Tony Hawk is, you know.
How do I miss this sort of thing?
But
They're going north.
I know, right?
And
Stuck in the river.
he said that he'd probably not do it again next year, only because I think he only got like 6 people, you know, which kind of surprised me. So I'm glad to hear Bob on the garden side seems to get more. Tom, you know, mentioned, you know, maybe the way that some of the things were described and the way we advertised it, you know, we might be able to do a little bit better or give some examples of things, you know.
Well, I know from the teaching yard, from the cottage garden at the park. You know, everybody comes in there, it's a public place, right? So they did not feel uncomfortable walking around in their own park. But there were several of them that said, because I said there's more, you know, go out and see the other ones, and they were like, I can go to their house.
Yeah.
So I bet
And,
that's
well,
what
and I think
they
that's what he was saying.
didn't know they could do it.
You know, he's bought some property up in Ashe County or something up in the mountains, and he's actually being part of a sculpture and garden tour up there. And it's kind of dedicated to that. So you know, maybe there's some lessons learned in that piece of it that we just, you know, kind of how we promote it better, like those people.
I mean, yeah, even saying this is a private residence, but it's okay for you to go today. I mean, you know, it's like people were being too polite. But we have lots of people in the garden. We have more people show up for the nature walks than I expected. I don't remember now how many it was. A lot of little kids, though, that didn't work out so well. Luckily, you can come off the trail at any point and kind of go back to the barn or whatever. I probably had more people signed or standing waiting to do the 3 o'clock nature walk than any of them. And I'm like, I just pointed to the sky and the lightning. And I said, yeah, I think we're doing this. People with baby strollers and stuff. So we might need to have a class about weather. But I need to be in your car with that child, those children. Anyway, so I thought that would, you know, well, considering it was 95 degrees. Anybody outside that day, that's a good day, right? I mean, before that rain hit.
Well, especially with the threat of rain. Yeah.
Well, that didn't, I mean, there was nothing in the sky that all of a sudden here today, right? So it was pretty much forecasted like that, so it was good. I was looking forward to it. It was warm. Yeah, warm. But anyway, I thought it went fine. I always wondered if we need like the party bus to drive people around to each of the, or something like that.
I think one of the things that we need to do is make a much clearer map.
Yeah.
So I was on the tour under my business name, and so for the art tour, I had a grand total of 4 people who came up to see my stuff. One woman kind of crept up my driveway and turned around and like scattered when I addressed her. Like, so there's definitely a thing with like.
Did you have signs in the yard and stuff?
Well, I was on the map, and then I had the Marvin Bay sign at the end of my driveway.
Yeah.
And so that, you know, and I didn't have a sign because I have an area at my sort of, the street goes past me and then dead ends, so people could park there and then come off the driveway. And I was a little bit concerned because my driveway is new, it has a circular, it's not quite big enough. I'm still working out the dimensions. It's not set in concrete yet. So I didn't want people to get stuck up there. So I put a sign up that was like park, stroll, you know, and it would work out really nice. But like I said, I only had a few that they did park down there and they came up, but I had 2 groups of 2 people. One of them had gotten information about it from their HOA at Providence Estate, I think she said.
Awesome.
Yep. So, well done.
Thank you, John.
And the other one was actually a grandmother looking for things to do to entertain a kid. She's from Virginia. She saw the signs. She came here to Village Hall, got some information, and she did like everything. So she was kind of one of those go-getter people. But now talking with her, what I found out was that, so Firethorn, I guess, was totally inundated because they were giving out free food. So maybe that's what the art tours need to do.
Cupcakes.
Yeah, it's about something, and actually I have an idea about that. Is she was over at Firethorn. I'm practically across the street from Firethorn, and she had a hard time finding her way.
Wow.
Now that's because if you look at the map, and I didn't really look at it in detail beforehand, but afterwards when we saw that, you know, when people were sort of soliciting information, the map, Lambeth's property is on the north side of Waxhaw Marvin Road, but her pin had her south of it. My pin is on Marvin School Road, but I live off of Marvin across the street from the Firethorn entrance, and Firethorn's pin was right where my house is. So if somebody, and there were no street names on anywhere on the map.
It didn't have your address on it, though.
It had our address, but the only way to figure that out is to put it into GPS. But if you're looking at this map and you're thinking, oh, we should be right here. My house looks like it's right next to elementary school.
Yeah.
Right? So if they're just looking at that map, and then also if you're from out of this area, figuring out, like, I had a hard time figuring out which was Marvin School Road.
Well, actually, as much as things change, you can be here for 5 minutes and feel like
you don't know. So when I sat down to look at the map after the fact with the eyes of somebody who didn't know what all was going on, it was extremely difficult to use that map and then with the icons. So the pins didn't place properly, and then the icons were so big that they obscured stuff. So I think a different strategy, I mean, it's hard to label like all these things happening at this place, especially at the park. But I think maybe it's a slightly different strategy with the map would help people find. And then it may be a promotional thing to get people to go on the art tours to make it a thing, is maybe to have the people who are participating with the art or garden tours have something to hand out, and you can collect them and maybe redeem them for something.
For a plant or
a plant or a little, you know, doodah, maybe one of the, you know, a lot of us artists have free giveaway kind of things. You know, the potters always have, you know, the coasters and.
Or even have maybe some small, you know, preparing it in advance, some small plants at each place.
Oh, I will always have plans for you.
I would say, I would imagine that anybody on the garden tours would be wanting to, you know, either give away or sell for, you know, about divisions, potted up little things, totally.
And especially that time of year, we got tons.
Yeah. So, maybe some incentives. And if that stuff, I feel like the tours were not as comprehensively advertised. I mean, obviously, fireworks, everybody loves fireworks, and yet still people did not know.
And well,
certain people did not know
the
there were
garden
fireworks.
tours, there's the garden tours at the park.
I think it was confusing.
That could be confused with the garden.
And I told everybody, you know, from there they could go, but you know.
But yes, but you said that they were concerned
Oh,
there
yeah.
about coming, so, I think maybe to incentivize people to come out and also to make people aware that that's a thing, if we want to incorporate that in the future.
Yeah.
And that's a question, that's the fundamental question, right? Is it worth even jumping through those hoops to try to get people to do that? Or is it good enough just to
Did we do
feature
too
that in the park?
many things in a day? Did we not do enough?
Yeah, you know, so that'll be a question going forward. I'd be interested to hear Bob's, because I know he was soliciting the collective feedback from you know, the people on the tour, including Landis, and I don't know what she had to say. But for my fundamental question first is, do we want to do those tours again?
Mm-hmm.
And if we decide that this is something we want to encourage in the community, and people want to participate, to make the participation really worthwhile, is to advertise better that that's happening and what it involves as distinct from what's going on at the park. And then maybe to come up with some things to get people who want to go.
May I jump in?
Absolutely. Sorry, I'm turning my
You're
back
good,
to
you're
you.
good, you're good.
It's just-
We're going to have better advertising next year. We're going to be able to start earlier.
Okay.
I'm bringing a contract before council in a couple of weeks for a communications consultant, someone who is much more of a social media expert than I am.
Cool.
Where we can practically plan months ahead of time.
Okay.
My goal. As far as the Art and Gardens tour for advertising, that'll improve with the consultant. One thing I noticed with the garden tours was people were at the park, they had done everything there. I had people coming up to me with 30 minutes left on the garden tour saying, I only have time for one. Which one do I go to? And so I would say, go to Bob. I'd tell him this. I sent a couple people to Bob because I know, I've seen Bob's
Because
garden.
you know Bob. And you
I know Bob's garden. So that was something I noticed, that people like the garden tours that went, but a lot of them went when they're about out of time.
I actually did have one show up after I had put everything away. They came at like 4:20, and it was, I just let him, he had 3 kids with little girls with him, and I was just like, you know what, it's all sitting on my dining room table, come on in. So we had a private art show.
Your house is beautiful, by the way.
Well, thank you very much. You know, maybe that's another thing to put on the thought is the timing of, if somebody wanted to do everything we were offering, would it be possible?
Yeah.
On the map, as far as the map goes, I completely agree. I think that a better map would almost be like an amusement park map where there's little circles with numbers and there's a list of what it is. And and even since we are in multiple locations, we need to have, I don't know what you call them, so there'd be smaller maps. There'd be a map of the park to show where in the park stuff is. There'd be a map of the elementary school. So here's the health fair. Here's where the 5K. Here's the 5K route.
Maps of the maps.
Something
Insets.
broken out insets.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be easier. And if we want to do garden tours again and art tours, we can have I think a booklet would be better personally, but I don't know what the cost of that would be. But you could have a second page that has photos of what you're going to see here.
Yeah.
That's the other
common
nice
sense.
thing is that nobody had any idea whether, like where should I go? Which one? Well, they couldn't pick based.
We could have a page. I mean, I don't know how in depth we want to go. We could have a page for even directions, like if somewhere even someone was still lost.
Right.
But if you're looking at a picture of Tom's like metal sculptures, and
Right.
and there's a tidbit in there about skate park by Tony Hawk. Yeah, people are going to show up. You know?
Yeah.
But I think it's great feedback. We're going to be much more on top of things this time around just because we're starting earlier.
Well, before you, and I really want to hear Derek too here in a minute, but before, I mean, you guys as staff and everybody, I mean, you did an amazing job.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It was.
you truly did, and the
Absolutely.
excitement that everybody had through the day. You know, whenever I noticed somebody needed help with something or info or whatever, you know, the dedication and effort that all the staff did, both leading up to it, but during that day too. You know, everybody that I interacted with, you had a feel-good day about it. And that's because, you know, the groundwork that was laid on the first of this thing, you know. Just thank you guys and all the rest of the staff that, you know, it's your job to some degree, but it was more than that day that people could recognize everybody put, you know, really good effort.
Oh yeah, I think there were a lot of moving parts, and I think it went off well. So as far as the art and garden tours, that's just learning stuff that we can. If we want to do that, I think we could make it much more successful.
And I did have several people unsolicitedly say, this is awesome, please keep doing it. And it was people from, you know, little kids are always going to say stuff like that, but older people that I would have not expected it from, like older men going, this is awesome, and they're very excited.
Right.
Hey, let me read that. So they were really, and they were standing in a garden, it was 93 degrees, and they were like, this is fantastic, okay. So, have you ever heard of the Ag and Art Tour that South Carolina does?
No,
They go county by county, and last weekend was York County, so it was close by. They do multiple locations within the county, and it's several different, like there were a couple of farmers markets, there were several farms, and within those farms they would have art and stuff, art vendors and food vendors and stuff there. So I would bring the paperwork from that. That would be helpful. Now, this is it goes on for a month and a half or 2 months, different weekends,
Yeah.
but you can see there's multiple locations within an area, and how they did that, I think
we'll look into that. I wrote that down.
And they have signage, and you feel like you're on a beaten dirt road, and you turn left at the goat, and so it's like,
So they are getting people to go out of their. I mean, once
Exactly.
we train people, this is
Exactly.
a thing. I think it could be really popular.
they have pretty good signage, but but there's a person at the top of the road too, saying, yeah, this is the place, kind of thing. It's
Well, if you've got
about-
enough to merit somebody standing
Yeah.
out there, yeah.
But I'll give you the little brochure, it's a little booklet.
That'll be good.
Yeah, it'll help.
As far as some of the feedback from the park, the kids love the potters.
That's cool.
Cat Jackson was covered in clay from head to toe.
Yes,
the
she
other
was.
day.
Yeah, well, she was doing demonstrations.
Uh-huh.
That's awesome.
They both were, because the other lady, Mark was doing.
There was a bit,
style.
yeah, there was a bit of a mess, and we're gonna plan for that next year. It was great having Publix and Active Waste there. Seemed to have really good feedback from them. The parking situation we're gonna work on for next year. Should have been a little more proactive on that, but in the end, I think it turned out fine. Everybody loved the Raptor Center, but maybe we should look for a second show next year if possible. Second, yeah.
More scary birds.
More scary birds. The only other thing I'll say is you guys have a Marvin Day meeting scheduled at the end of July. Council wants to debrief with you all, so I might ask y'all to cancel that meeting at your next meeting and then attend the
When
work
is
session.
that meeting? Refresh my memory,
Sure.
because a lot of times we end up moving that around based on 4th of July and stuff. anyway.
So your regular meeting in July is on the 12th, but you have a Marvin Day, and you delayed it a week already. You have a Marvin Day work session scheduled for the last Tuesday of the month on the 26th. Council has a work session on the 28th that they would like you all to attend, and you'd be in the morning at 9 a.m., just like this meeting. And for the first little bit, would be a joint meeting for y'all just to kind of go over Marvin Day, and then you'd be done. So
What was our workday session, the 26th?
26, 2 days before. So since you wouldn't need a second meeting if you're already going to be talking about Marvin Day 2 days later with council.
It's just
No,
gonna-
Oh, the July 26th one
We
was-
have a work session already scheduled.
It was scheduled when you guys adopted your meeting schedule back in December, because we went ahead and just planned out for the entire year.
Oh,
What was
okay.
the purpose of that one on the 26th?
Because I know we have those for Marvin.
We have them situated for every other month to have a work session. I do think, and I'll see what Derek says on this, but I do think we're going to get to the point where we're going to be on top of things where we're not going to need the extra meetings.
Yeah.
I don't know when we're officially going to be at that point.
Scheduled in the past.
Yeah, we did. We
Okay.
scheduled them ahead of time just for the next time.
Check your calendar, they're like out until like
Okay.
2030 or something.
But so at the next meeting, I'm going to bring your meeting schedule back just to cancel that meeting, so well, you guys don't have to be here 2 days and 2 days later. So.
No, that's fine, so we need to move the 26th to the 28th.
Yeah.
I'll make it clear on the schedule
Yeah,
when you see it. See it at the July 12th meeting.
Okay, so we're canceling the July 26th work session where we would have debriefed Marvin Day, and now we're going to do it jointly with the council.
On the 28th, yeah.
Yeah,
And you'll officially make that change on a meeting schedule at the next meeting.
No, just like Christina, mark my word.
I'll wait on like a ton of specifics. I just want to say, thanks obviously for all your help and work and volunteering at your home. I think overall the day was a big success. We obviously, missed on some, minor details. And, there would be a ton of things that we could do better. I've got like a stack of notes that I'm collecting from everybody, so continue to give me your feedback or gather it from people that that win or participated. Because I'm going to try to figure out how do we take all those thoughts and let's put them into practice moving forward. So like Austin said, there'll definitely be some improvements moving forward. So thank y'all for everything, and it was a long but really fun, rewarding day, and it was overall really good, I thought. So surprisingly,
Just for some of us that weren't at some of the other events, because we were attendance-wise, the 5K, I heard that was really good.
yeah, 5K was great. We wanted 150 runners. We had combined with the 5K and the fun run, like 160. So we didn't get a full 150 runners in the 5K, but it was a really good crowd.
I saw people walking around with their t-shirts on and their medals and all that kind of
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
That was cute.
yeah. Blood Drive, they were pleased with their turnout, and with it only being 12, but they were very pleased with that. They want to come back. They're like, when can we come to Marvin again?
Can we just drive around the neighborhoods?
Yeah, it's
Like it.
I think for our first year, it was really good. Bob Markley showed up and led the route on his motorcycle, so that was cool. There was a lot of little scrambling at the end to try to just finish off some fine details that you didn't think about till the last second, but we made it work. Health fair, we had a ton of vendors there. Let's see. The park was great, well attended. Raptor Center sold out. High school, we managed it through the storm and had an incredible turnout for the fireworks. The car show was a huge hit, almost 200 cars.
Oh, I've seen that.
All the
I didn't see him. We were done.
truck vendor, I'll have to check with Jill, but everyone that I spoke to was, they said they did great.
They did, because that's what
I
I
was
was
like,
worried
how
about.
do you do it? They're like, oh, we did great.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about at the start of the concert, that food vendors.
Because there were so many.
But again, it seemed to kind of build,
I think Julie had a really good turnout here with, every time I would like swing by,
I gave a lot of tours at Village Hall.
Wow.
every time I was like running in
Before
to
I
grab
was
something, it was people coming in, so. You know, we're limited in our facilities and what we can do, and, you know, parking space, and so we have to do the best with what we have to work with, and I think we did a really good job for our first year then.
Well, I think we have in our head this thing that happens in one place. Well, we can't do that, so we did something that didn't happen in one place, and that was okay too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've got a 4-year-old, you're gonna be at the park. If you don't, you're gonna be at garden tours. I mean, you could choose all kinds of things to do. I wish you could love that. So and if Grandpa wants to go see cars, you have that.
I would say if it hadn't been for the rain coinciding just as I was packing up the art stuff, I was gonna run my dad over for the last hour of the car show. That was when the sky was up.
It wasn't perfect, but it was.
It's not ever good.
Well, and weather will always be a complicating factor, and I think any of the missteps or last minute, you know, whoops, it's just stuff that we now know we can do better, so those are opportunities.
And somebody said the Firethorn open house thing, that went well too, that was well.
They ran out of food, according to the woman I was talking to.
Yeah.
The vultures just descended.
Yeah.
When
They want to
they
wait for you all
breakfast.
next year, so.
Well, and that's the key, because, I got that commitment from Cedar Hill, and, if the food vendors feel like they did well, those things were some of the things I think we were all most worried about going in. And it doesn't seem like the worries that we have coming out of it are a lot more smaller things that, we can make some adjustments to and just make things better.
No, I mean, Firethorn was happy, they had member guests that same weekend, so it was they were kind of being pulled from a lot of different angles, so, but they definitely want to be involved next year. I already have meetings set up with them in the middle of July to start kind of brainstorming what we can do different, what we can do better with them. And then, the Raptor Center, I sent them 2 emails with no response, which doesn't seem very promising, so I will keep following up with them, but I have not heard back from them yet. So I really hope that they want to do it again, because it was packed, a good show, but I'm not sure if, they got, a little frustrated with the amount of people that we let in, and the people that are not listening to their instructions, because, they do have to be a lot of animals,
With really sharp guilty claws.
so, I will, if the Raptor Center wants to do it next year, I will do it differently next year. We will have a sign up if you are only going in if you have signed up, and if you leave, you can't come back in, and I made an age restriction on there, because little kids could sit still and were loud, and, I don't think the Raptor Center was terribly pleased with that, so. But we don't do so much, so. But the village hall tours were amazing, it was packed, like, we constantly had people in there, giving tours. And shelter when the storms were. We had a lot of people in it too, so, but it was great, so, I've heard good feedback from the people that I've heard feedback from, so.
I have to.
My in-laws even came to look at the village hall. Andy gave them a very good tour.
No, I think overall, you have to give it a B+A. I really, listen, again, it's been
For the first
And the
time.
gift baskets were amazing.
And again, yes, people miss things, like they didn't come to maybe, Tom's house as much, but it was the first year. Next year, they're gonna know that we're gonna have more, they're gonna be like, oh, Marvin, I remember that from last year. Let me do, and we're gonna have more information. So I feel like for the first year, it was, I couldn't have asked for it to be better, so.
And I almost feel like there was a little bit of a word of mouth thing going on, because by about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when everything was wrapping up in the park, people started showing up. It's like, did you just wake up? And they were like, we just came to see stuff. I'm like, you're a little late.
Are the Raptors still here?
Here's the thing, though, too. We're a very family-oriented community, but people have practices, those things are all still going on.
So a lot of people came in the afternoon, because they didn't have stuff in the morning, so,
Anything more on this for that? All right, let's move on to item D, new business. Oh wait, was there anything, I didn't see anything under public facility managers update, but was there anything?
Yeah, I was just gonna tell you guys, I guess it happened before Marvin Day. I don't know if you've noticed, but at the park, the double trunk oak that used to hold the tire swings, it's gone. It fell in a storm.
Wow.
Yeah, it just split.
That's the problem with that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put forth some, well, I've got an agenda item on council's work session to discuss ideas for what could go there, and I will tell you to just be thinking about that, and we'll discuss it at our next meeting. The first few things that come to mind are like a second picnic shelter that we could rent out for revenue and actually provide cover for those tables that are up there, the big 8-foot tables. A toddler playground, enclosed, small playground with some seating for the parents. Wesley Chapel has one that I really like. It has a gate. You walk in, and then there's some benches around the perimeter, the interior perimeter of the fence, so the kids are kind of enclosed.
So there's one thing.
Yep, that's a toddler playground.
Makes sense.
We could do like a fitness park, and have just little fitness stations where the exercise classes or just whoever people could go up there.
Especially for the exhibition and stuff, like people's watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people don't have that.
So just be thinking about that. It's a very empty, bare looking spot. Yeah, it looks sad. It needs something. So,
You mentioned the toddler playground, and I still think that our regular one still looks really good, but I didn't get up close and personal with it. I know we've talked about that in the past. Are we going to get to the point where we've got to do something with it? How's it holding up? And I know we've rehabbed it a couple of times.
yeah, it's holding up, but it's not great. I mean, it definitely has a lifespan, and we're getting very close to that. There's a lot of repairs and maintenance, tightening. We're using like wood hardening chemicals on it now to try to get us there. So we're gonna chase some grant money, try to double the budget of what council has allotted to redo the thing, and then we've got to make a decision of do we redo the surface, and go with like a soft surface, and that's a huge expense in itself. But you do away with the mulch and the maintenance, and it's better drainage on the playground. So it's a tough balance of what can we get with our budget, and finding an item that's affordable but meets the needs of the community, and while the style still fits kind of the style that we have established. We don't want to go in there with
And everything always costs more than you think it is doing.
Dollars, I know.
so.
I noticed there was a new door on the community garden. Has that been there a while? I just didn't know.
I don't know.
This, yeah, brand new door. Because everything else is kind of gray, and it's, because it's got a spring on it, so.
Oh, I didn't tell me he was going to put a spring on it.
Because I've been out there multiple times that door. Like, thank you, squirrels, I'm sure that.
Well, I've got some really good workers out there, so I'm,
Keeping ahead of things.
yeah.
No, that was awesome.
Been very hands off.
And the garden looks really good. People got tomatoes in there that are 8 feet tall.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and just a small, in combination with Marvin Day, we were able to go ahead and purchase some tables and chairs. So we're going to build a little storage cabinet for those, and we'll actually
Like in the barn?
and actually have those for rent starting this weekend.
Well, that would be
Yeah.
When you talk about storage and using the barn for storage. I know that when we designed the maintenance shed was designed, if I recall, so that you could easily put an extension on the maintenance shed.
Yeah.
Does it make sense to take area from the barn to make storage type stuff versus maybe you guys need some more area in the maintenance
Well,
shed?
we're gonna add on to the maintenance shed, that's in next year's
Okay.
plans. Yeah, because we definitely need more storage for
Yeah.
vehicles and equipment
Okay.
too, but yeah, the tables and chairs, that'll be minimal.
And then right there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and it'll be, the challenge with putting them in the maintenance shed was we would have to move them as to where, if they're there, the renter can just have a code to get into that closet and they can access the tables and chairs themselves.
But if you get foldable, stackable, those kind of things,
Yeah.
that they don't take up.
Yeah, I think it's like 32 inches for the chair rack. I mean, it's nice.
And somebody asked me, the cabinets, is it just that
They're
people have taken all the books?
They're
Because
gone.
I got comments that, oh, where's the books? We used to like to kind of exchange books, we'd bring some, drop them off.
Yeah, well, we took them down. It was becoming an activity for the kids to just throw them everywhere, and between that and the mice chewing them up and, building nests out of them, it just did, yeah.
Gotcha.
My guys are literally scrubbing mice urine off the barn floor yesterday.
I just didn't know if people were checking the books out because the cabinets were still there at the time, but I didn't know. Okay. Anything else for facility manager use up? Move on to item D, number 1, discussion of the role and responsibility of the PR&G board and process for reviewing public comments and making recommendations to the village council. That's Christina, so I'll let her, she had reached out to me specifically, especially with a new member here on the board, just to kind of have this discussion and, so you can get a better understanding of how we're structured. And I think Christina also had some questions that came from some questions that Bob had too about, the flow of information back and forth and whether that's something that we feel is working well now, some things we can tweak, needs to be changed, etc. So,
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is, since 2 of our members are not here, should we wait until next month and do this then? I mean, is that a better use of time?
I mean, we can still briefly go through it if you'd like.
Okay. Yeah, because I think it would be just better for all of us to hear the same thing and not have to rely on you, typing up minutes for it.
yeah.
I think rediscussing it when more people are here would be great, but if you want to give us the highlight reel.
Well, I don't
Or the
have.
previews.
Do you have questions? Do you have questions for me?
So the question is, what is our primary directive or our secondary directive or whatever? Why are we here? Big picture. And how does information flow? We are an advisory board.
Yes.
And what does that mean relative to not being one and all that? Just the basics.
Well, you guys are a voluntary board. We bring issues to you that are relevant to the park, greenways, recreation, events. We get recommendations from you all. We get your input. We delegate. The council delegates things to you for feedback, for planning purposes. And then things that require council decision, we take your recommendations to them and have them either formally approve them or give consensus to move forward. In the end, they are the governing board, so they make the ultimate decisions.
I think the other thing that's important too is that from a budgetary standpoint, if you're not an advisory board and at one time Parks and Greenways was an actual, if it's not an advisory board, what's the point? A full board or something like that.
What do you mean?
Well, I think it's also a difference where we're not allotted money or a budget to spend. So that's a big component of it as well. The financial responsibilities remain with the council rather than with the board. and in some cases, that can be a good thing too, because as an advisory board, you know, they've got to be the ones in the end that are, you know, being responsible with the residents' money. But that's another component of it that I wanted to kind of.
So if you're not the governing board, if you're not the governing board, you're an advisory body. So the planning board's advisory. The board of adjustment is
Quasi.
it's a bit more just because it's regulated by state law, and planning boards are too. So there are certain areas where they have inherent powers that are delegated through state law. You guys are completely advisory on everything, but no board has specific monetary authority, financial authority, except the governing board. So if you are working on a project, advising on something that is going to require us to spend money, you know, that's our job then to figure out what's in our budget, so we can advise you on to give us. It's a.
But like when we direct staff to do something, for example, that's essentially allocating expense to some degree. How do you distinguish that versus something that needs to be approved by council, or how, you know what I'm saying?
Like if you all, I would say the difference is it's something not trivial, but something small. Like if you guys want to talk about a plaque for like the Eagle Scouts, that's something small. That's something we absolutely have money in the budget for. But if it's a larger project that's going to require us to take financial action, such as a budget amendment, that's where we go to council.
But like, and John, you're obviously invited to every one of our council meetings to give a Park Trek Greenway debrief. If you're not there, I do it. It's safer.
Well, and that's what I always thought.
And so,
but
yeah.
I'm always there.
So I do it, but like tonight, like I'll update, I'll say, hey, we're gonna get an Eagle Scout plaque. It's probably gonna cost around $350.
It's not even that much. It'll be less than that.
Well, so.
It'll be like $100 probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and everybody's gonna say, great, perfect, and we're gonna move on, and it's in the budget, and we'll take care of it. And if it's, you know, like, we talked about the angel tree thing, we talked about doing a bourbon event, so I brought all that stuff back to council to get thumbs up, thumbs down. Everybody's like, yeah, we'll just keep working on it, so everybody's like, yeah, we're good. Once it comes to like, if there's a budget for things, then that's when we'll come back and be like, okay guys, like, we've got to either scale it down, or we can do more, or we can do whatever. But that's when that's like my job of sitting here, listening, and being able to come back to, you know, to the council and say, hey, this is what Parks and Rec we're working on. These are ideas. Is everybody good with it? You know, if not, then that's when I'll bring it back. Like, you know, they didn't like the angel tree idea, or they didn't like the burger tasting, whatever. And then we can, you know, make different decisions.
But you also take back recommendations. You say, this is, you ask us to look at something, we look at it, this is our recommendation.
Yes, Derek and I usually do it together, depending on what it is.
Of course, yeah.
It's just worth noting that you guys are a collaborative body, council is as well. There are open lines of communication. Yes, talk with staff on things. If you have a question about what is feasible within our current budget, you can call us. That's why we're here. You know, you can gladly talk to Jamie. She can walk you through the budget. Talk to Christina. But same thing. Even if we're not in a meeting, you can call Kim. That's what she's here for. You can talk to Joe. You know, don't feel like this is the only venue where you can talk to either staff or council. You know, you guys volunteer for this. You graciously donate a lot of your time, and so we're here to help you.
But like in terms of, like you said, like if we direct staff to do something, that obviously takes resources. It does, but that's why, like, I'm gonna just go back to Boy Scout Plaque, right? Like, yes, like we directed Austin to go out and get quotes for that. But like, it's not like it's like, again, I don't want to use the word trivial, but you use the word trivial. It's something small. If it was like, hey Austin, I need you to go do research on this, it's gonna take 20 hours, then we need to like have a conversation about it. But things like that, like that's what the board, that is what this current board wants from Parks and Rec. Now, can that change? Yes, absolutely, as the board changes. Sure. But right now, that is absolutely, I mean, we want your ideas, we want your advice. We may not always take it, but we want it, and we'll listen to it, and we'll talk about it.
Well, I think that was Bob's concern, and obviously I'm new to this and don't have any, except for Bob's question at the last meeting was, so we give the advice, you take it to council, but then if council does something different, if Bob's concern was, well, if our suggestion didn't work, do you come back and ask for another one, or do you just take that under advisement and then?
It depends on
It
what
depends
it
on
is.
the project.
I mean, and what we're talking about there was a tree.
Yeah, which
Which we're
to
like,
my mind is pretty minimal with all the things that
I
they.
mean, like, we went round and round with roundabout plantings, I mean, round and round with the roundabout
Yeah.
plantings. For 99% of it, we took what Parks and Greenway said.
Right.
But council didn't like the two options, and this is what council as a whole wanted, and we absolutely did not, again, we needed to plant, we needed to move on. That is a trivial thing.
Right.
If it's something big, we're gonna come back and bounce it around. Again, the roundabout things, we worked on that for months.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, we're not always gonna take the advice that's given, but we're always gonna listen and talk about it.
One other
And
thing.
I got it too, so.
Like we had multiple discussions about the roundabout plantings. We had a formal meeting just to talk about that, right?
Right.
And approve the sketch plan. And then someone from PR&G came back with, I want to
Call me if you
make
might
an
need
addition.
CLC.
I want to make an addition to the roundabout plans, I
Oh,
think.
so there was sort of some late outside. or
Right. And so-
Outside the
Yeah,
meetings,
and
not
so,
outside.
and it was Bob, and he had a great suggestion, and we brought it to council, and they said, okay, sure, I think that'll look good, and so we made that change. So, it
One-
goes both ways.
One other thing I'll note is we get different types of recommendations from you all. There are certain things that are smaller scale, whereas we're collaborating on plant types or for like the layout for the roundabouts. But then there are formal things that are stated in our ordinances that we are required to come to you all for. Again, council makes the ultimate decision in the end, but those are things that are formally on record that you guys vote to recommend. So we bring subdivision sketch plans before you all. So you see that. That was something I think Dan was initially confused about why you were seeing it, but it's in our ordinances that you all get to review that because a lot of subdivisions have trails. And so that's
Is that the only reason that we're looking at them?
I would say that
That's
would be my assumption. Obviously, I was not around when the ordinance was written. I do see.
Because there's one going in
Yeah,
in my house, and it's completely different than the last version I saw. It has a lot more housing.
And there is reasons for that. There is reasons for that, and
That's why I said the
yeah.
whole one.
And if you guys have any questions before a meeting, if we're bringing a subdivision sketch plan, you don't know anything about it, call us. If there's ever anything on the agenda that doesn't make sense, call us. I joke that I'm everybody's keeper, and I kind of am. But yeah, it kind of is. Call me, call Hunter, depending on what it is. I'll always help any way I can. But then there are other things that we come to you all for. You guys, it's in the ordinance that you guys make recommendations for fees that we charge for rental facilities. You guys make recommendations. This is from the ordinance on the acceptance of grants, gifts, donations, things for the park. So there are formal things that we have to get a vote from you on, and there's formal things. Then there are other things that are less formal that you all kind of just talk about, and we take those ideas to council. I kind of hope that makes sense.
Yeah. I was gonna ask, what is our responsibility, if you will, for anything that goes on in the park? Or
Anything that what?
It goes on in the park, and I don't mean events and stuff, we did the pricing, or we at least gave a recommendation for changing rental fees and all that.
And that's actually
And
in the
then you're
ordinance.
talking about parking fees, that this was a while back, and we don't do that anymore, right? So anybody can park their car. But when we were putting the fitness stuff along the trail, and the disc golf and all that, we were involved in.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is kind of our role.
That is squarely in your, that's
We're
squarely.
talking about where the tree used to be and what we're gonna put back there. Okay.
Because you guys are the subject matter experts on this. You guys are the hobbyists. So you guys, if I have a question about flowers, I know I need to call Bob. I need to call Bob. I need to talk to Christina.
I'm gonna almost always solicit your feedback for things that are instrumental,
Yeah.
and outside like everyday maintenance.
Yeah, like the new door.
Putting up a sign that, you know,
Mhm.
will improve safety
Yeah,
or something like that.
Some of them are right.
If you feel like Derek, you know, his staff did something crazy without our input, then, you know, you go to council and say, I think you might have overstepped here. And we'll maintain that balance.
But again, we're here, you can always call us.
Yeah, and I think this conversation again kind of comes out of the specific instance that Bob was talking about, but like Christina said, I think, you know, we don't have the formal training kind of like we used to for these boards, you know, and we have a new member.
And we still need to give Jen a formal orientation. That's on the to-do list. It's on my board. It's in green ink on my board.
Shirley David is relatively new, and I'm not sure that he's ever actually been to a meeting. He's on WebEx or whatever it's called. And
Since COVID,
yeah.
kind of came on right before.
I actually read it at the barn one time, like, you're not in there. You don't look different in person. Okay. That helps.
I hope that answers a lot of questions. And I think it's good that we had this discussion, and we can gladly have it again next month when Bob and Dan are here. I think it's good that y'all went ahead and heard this once, so that way next month we have this discussion again.
Well, that gives me an opportunity to think about if I have any further questions now that I've sort of been given a
Like you guys.
just a basic idea of what we're discussing when we're discussing that. Now, if anything pops up, we can.
You guys have my cell number. I think you all do. If you don't, you can get it from me. Call me, text me. I don't care. You know, I'm always available to help you.
Okay, cool.
And I've got a hard stop in 8 minutes. So.
Yes.
Let's let's book it.
Yeah. You know, Derek, you know, we've discussed this prior to kind of focusing everything to Marvin Day, but I asked to put this on because we're getting close now. We'll have that workshop, I guess, before as well as our July regular meeting. So we've got a couple more instances before we get to National Night Out. But I know, you know, in some of the talk that we did have, we were kind of tossing around how much do we want to change it or not change it? Do we want to do burgers and hot dogs and, you know, Publix, or do we want to do food truck? And so I just wanted to kind of, after Marvin Day, make sure that we start talking about that next event, which sneaks up on us, you know.
When is
basically
National
3 meetings.
Tuesday, August 2nd.
Yeah, so it's less than 2 months away, so I've got a lot to work on, before the next PR&G meeting.
Yeah, we only have one more meeting before that because the
Well,
next
that's the
meeting is the
workshop.
morning of it.
Yeah.
The workshop just got moved to the 28th with
The council.
meeting.
So you guys can talk about National Night Out there too with council.
Yeah.
But then we have council present and it's.
I mean,
Well, it's like 6 days before, so that would be.
it would be cutting it close.
So we're really going to have to do it in our July meeting.
Yeah, the July 12th.
It's July
meeting is when it's
28th.
gonna start to get to be a big one.
So here's what I say. We've got a month to look at my very beautiful.
Yeah, I was just, what is this? This needs a caption.
I had 3 lists where
Okay.
we went over all 3 of the remaining events and just sketched out ideas.
Cool.
And then this is actually the list for the tree lighting, that's why I extra National Night Out's list.
Okay.
So just so y'all have a visual, this is the list that we came up with in one of our previous meetings where we just threw out ideas. So just look over this, let me know 3 things. Anything you want to see added, anything you think should be taken off, and 3, anything that you can take charge of and help run with it. Like if you've got the puppy adoption connection, which I actually have that, but
I was gonna say, because that's sort of in my wheelhouse too, but okay.
yeah, like
You go.
The blood drive people, they're all booked up for August. So like I've already got that, canceled off my list. So but anything else you
Have we decided between the burger route or food truck? And don't we kind of need to do that? Decide?
Jill just got back today, so I'm gonna go with the food truck route.
It'd be different.
Yeah, I think it's a better draw, because you just say.
Variety.
You say that
word, people come,
And it's so easy because they do all the food stuff. We don't have to
Exactly.
think about
I'm
amounts.
tired of seeing John Slade over the grill.
I don't mind doing it. Gets me in good with the
It
cops.
is a concept.
Yeah.
Okay, so food trucks for sure. A camel ride? What is a camel?
Are we still thinking movie? Because I think that is a good thing to
Yeah.
do that night.
I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah, and that's me, I just contact the company.
And they usually provide the popcorn machine too. That's-
Awesome.
Yeah.
If
So
you
then we
guys-
just have to pick a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Police Academy would be right at it.
So you got puppies and food and a movie.
That's just a person
we
in
also
life.
have like a fire truck.
That's my life.
The SWAT guys, you know, because that's really kind of the purpose is.
Yeah, the
to
purpose,
connect-
yeah.
Is to connect the community with, you know, our public servants.
Yeah, and we'll have the live music, you know, like we always do, and I already know, like, Union County's gonna bring their game band, so it'll be fun.
Who's paying? Do you have one yet?
I don't have a contract with anyone, but I typically use that.
Oh, you should say that.
The bluegrass guys.
They're good.
They are good.
Mm-hmm.
Just need them to play a little longer. Set is a little short last
It
time.
is amazing to me.
So,
Your setup is easy, just play more. That's the hard thing.
so the one thing in the past, I know Officer Swan and then Mason, a lot of what they were doing as pre-work was going out and soliciting donations of the food and stuff like that. If we're moving the food truck route,
It'll just be securing.
yeah, but I still want to bring them into the conversation, you know.
I've already registered, I've already let them know about the events, it's on their calendar, so.
Okay.
I just asked them this morning.
Are we still asking them to get donations for any reason for things, or
Yeah, for the drinks, the cookies and chips,
drinks, cookies, and
is
chips?
what we have listed.
Okay,
Chips may
is
not-
that gonna affect the food truck guys?
I don't think so, we can just tell them.
Yeah.
So we're giving out, so people come,
That-
they
that-
pay for
yeah.
their dinners, but we're giving out drinks and cookies?
Well, that little detail,
Or do people pay for the drinks and cookies, but it's cheap?
we were trying to get a sponsor to cover the cost of the food trucks. I
Okay.
don't know if that would be feasible, but maybe we could reduce the price, you know, like all meals are $5 and the sponsor covers the difference.
That would be cool.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Because before, everything was free.
yeah.
Yeah. But with hot hammers, hot dogs, a lot of Publix cookies.
Okay, so it used to be that the food was all free. Now if we're bringing in the food trucks, we're still maybe thinking about either paying for it and making the food truck food free or having it subsidized.
I think that could get,
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
So subsidizing or just having people pay their
because the donations that they got
Mhm.
were food donations. They came from
Okay.
Publix, Harris
Right.
Teeter. They weren't giving money.
Money.
But
Gotcha.
they were giving wholesale cost donations that they could write, you know, off.
But I think he's trying to.
Okay, so this time maybe they're donating drinks and cookies, drinks and dessert.
Well, and the other thing is if we're selling food off food trucks, one of the nice things, you know, we've had different national night out where, you know, it was great, you know, response and tons of people, and others, weather-wise, different things where it was a lot less. But there was always a very heavy presence of the sheriffs and now, a lot of times those guys are coming for free food, you know?
Oh, we need to make sure that they're just free.
Well, and I guess that's what we gotta kind of think about when we move into the food truck.
Yeah.
So,
No,
Okay, so maybe we get donations to pay
Yeah.
for the meals.
and whether the food truck guys can coexist with those guys still going out getting Publix and Harris Teeter involved if they're donating drinks and.
If it's just drinks, it's probably easy enough, because I don't think the food truck people are making a bunch of money off of drinks.
Probably,
They
yeah.
sell them for $1, can, you know,
Yeah.
not making a bunch of money there. And it's, you know, it takes a lot of space, and it's heavy, you gotta keep it cold and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that might be a good one.
And then raising money to pay for the professionals, the fire, you know, the police and, you know, the.
Well, we don't pay for that.
No,
To make theirs free. But for theirs,
Yeah,
for theirs.
So that we could give them a ticket and they can go, just like we did a permit.
Yeah.
What time are we thinking about starting? I think last year we did 5:30. Is
I
still
think
good?
we want to move them a little bit later if we're
Okay.
doing a movie. Otherwise, there seems to be a kind of a long time waiting for it to get dark enough.
Yeah, it's not getting dark, it's not getting dark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I would say maybe 6 might even be better. 5:30.
Or even 6:30?
I think we started out at 4 one year, and it seems like we keep pushing it back.
And start the movie at noon.
When it gets dark enough.
You'd have to start like,
August is probably
It's
8:30.
about 8:30ish, yeah, usually, sometimes we try to squeeze if there's enough clouds at 8:50.
Oh,
Because if it's a 2-hour movie,
no.
little kids are conking out in the middle of the movie.
I was actually thinking about advertising it to be more, like 5 to 9,
Okay.
live movie, and then like kind of try to spread people out, if they want to come at 5,
I see what you're
play this.
Well, and
then
food
have
trucks,
some-
it might be.
Yeah.
And then if they just want to come for dinner and movie, then they come later,
Mm,
so.
Yeah,
Maybe advertise it as a whole for a little bit longer, so they can advertise the specific
components of it,
music from 6 to 8,
yeah.
just let me know your calls.
No, I think that's a good idea to start it out a little bit.
Okay. So we'll revisit this at the next meeting. Austin,
okay.
just based on time, let's skip the review of, let's just.
I don't think we really don't have any action items and we have no updates on the action item list. So.
Any board member comments from anyone?
Nope.
All right, so do I hear a motion on the table to adjourn the Village of Marvin Parks Recreation meeting here on Tuesday, June 7th at
10:17.
at 10:17.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ciao, baby.
Thank you, guys.